throwaway for obvious reasons. So I, female, 29, am totally baffled by my family, and I honestly don't know if I'm missing something obvious here. My mother-in-law, let's call her Linda, is obsessed with the idea of grandkids, which normal grandparent behavior, right? But my entire family acts like she's announcing a zombie apocalypse every time she brings it up. Some background. My husband, male 32, and I have been married for 3 years. His mom has always been the type to get excited about future family stuff. She's been buying random baby things for months, saying she's just getting prepared for when the time comes. Last week, she showed me this high chair she bought on clearance and was so proud of the deal she got. She even has this whole Pinterest board with nursery ideas that she'll show anyone who'll sit still long enough. My husband is one of those guys who always handles everything behind the scenes. Like when our AC died last summer, he spent 3 weeks researching options instead of just calling a repair guy. He deals with all our bills and mail since he works from home, says he's streamlining our finances or whatever. Honestly, I don't mind because I hate dealing with that stuff anyway. But here's where it gets weird. Every time his mom brings up baby stuff, my entire family turns into these awkward robots. My sister, female, 35, is usually the one who manages everyone's feelings, like she's the person everyone calls when they're worried about someone else getting upset. My parents raised me to just say what's bothering you instead of dancing around everything, so all this tiptoeing feels totally bizarre to me. The thing that's really bugging me happened at Sunday dinner last week. We're all sitting around having a normal meal when my mother-in-law casually mentions she saw these adorable baby clothes at Target. She pulls out this tiny yellow onesie from her purse. Apparently she bought some just in case, and everyone just freezes, completely stops talking. I look around the table and I swear it was like someone had died. My sister immediately starts gushing about how good the roast chicken is, which was random because we'd been eating for 20 minutes already. My husband jumps in with this super fake enthusiasm about some football game, talking way too loud about statistics I know he doesn't even care about. Even my dad starts asking about the weather forecast for no reason. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there thinking the onesie is actually really cute, so I tell my mother-in-law it's adorable and ask where she found it. The looks everyone gave me. You'd think I'd announced I was joining a cult. My mother-in-law just kind of shrinks back and quickly stuffs the onesie back in her purse, mumbling something about just browsing. The whole rest of dinner was this weird forced conversation about literally anything except babies. My brother-in-law starts talking about his job. He works in HR and usually complains about work stuff. My sister brings up some Netflix show nobody asked about, and my husband won't stop going on about sports scores like he's reading them off a teleprompter. After we got home, I followed my husband to our bedroom, asking why everyone acted like baby talk was dangerous or something. He's changing clothes and won't even look at me. Just says his mom gets carried away sometimes and puts pressure on people. When I pointed out that she was just being sweet and excited like any future grandmother would be, he got all defensive about protecting me from his family's expectations. Then he literally went to brush his teeth in the middle of our conversation, which is his way of shutting down anything he doesn't want to discuss. I mentioned this whole thing to my coworker the next day, just venting about how weird my family was being. She made some comment about expensive timing, which honestly confused me more. Yeah, babies cost money, but we're doing fine financially, I think. My husband handles all that stuff, so I don't really know the details, but he's never mentioned any problems. So the next evening, I called my sister expecting her to agree that everyone was being ridiculous. Instead, she starts asking me these careful questions about whether my husband and I had talked about the practical side of having kids. I laughed and said obviously we're fine money-wise, and there was this really long pause before she asks if I've looked at our budget lately. That's when I realized she was fishing for something specific. I started asking direct questions about why everyone seemed so worried, and she got all flustered and started backtracking, saying she was just making conversation. But I know my sister, and she doesn't do small talk about budgets unless something's up. The thing is, my family has always had this pattern where they talk to each other about concerns, but somehow keep me out of the loop, like I'm some fragile flower who can't handle stress. My sister has been doing this since we were kids. She's basically the family's unofficial therapist, while I get protected from any problems. But honestly, I think my mother-in-law's enthusiasm is sweet. Her own mom died before she could become a grandmother, so I get why this is important to her. Yeah, maybe she gets a little carried away with the Pinterest boards and the advanced shopping, but it comes from a good place. But I'm just confused why normal grandparent excitement is being treated like it's some kind of crisis, and why everyone seems to think I can't handle whatever they're all worried about. Am I the idiot for not understanding why my family freaks out about my mother-in-law's baby talk and wanting them to just tell me what's actually going on? Edit. 1, since people are asking, no, we haven't been actively trying for kids yet, but we've talked about starting soon. 2, my husband definitely makes good money in sales. I mean, I see the commission checks when they come in, even though he handles the details, and they're usually pretty solid. 3, to those wondering about the family dynamics, yeah, my sister has always been the one who manages everyone's emotions. It's exhausting, honestly. 4, the mother-in-law isn't being pushy or demanding, she's just excited. I really don't get why that's treated like a problem. Now for the first update. Holy crap, you guys were right, and I'm absolutely furious right now. So after reading all your comments about checking our finances, I decided to just look into things myself instead of waiting for my husband to explain why everyone acts like talking about babies is some kind of emergency. So this morning, it's been 3 days since that weird conversation with my sister, and I've been stewing about it. I was having coffee and browsing Pinterest for nursery ideas. I found this really simple conversion for our guest room that was basically just paint and moving some furniture around, like maybe $200 tops in paint and a few decorations. So I excitedly show my husband, and I swear to God, his coffee mug literally slipped out of his hand. He starts stuttering about major expenses and timing, and when I point out we're talking about paint, not a full renovation, he goes into this whole rambling list about how we need to clean the gutters first and organize our closets and all this random household stuff that has nothing to do with anything. I'm sitting there thinking, dude, it's paint. Why are you acting like I suggested we buy a yacht? That's when I remembered your comments about actually looking at our money situation. So I decided to look up our Home Depot account to check for paint sales. But when I tried to log in, it suggested an email address I didn't recognize, one with our names but that I'd never seen before. When I finally guessed the password, it was our anniversary. That's when I found it. A whole separate email account with hundreds of messages I've never seen. There's this folder called Handled that has hundreds of emails I've never seen. Credit card payment reminders, overdue notices, letters from creditors. I'm sitting there with my hands literally shaking, reading through months of stuff about mortgage payment gaps and minimum payment scheduling, and email threads between my husband and my family members talking about loan coordination. My family, coordinating loans for us without me knowing. And now I'm realizing those commission checks I thought I saw were probably him moving money from family loans into our account before showing me the deposits. God, even the evidence I thought I had was fake. I called my sister immediately, and she tried to downplay it as just family helping family. But when I started reading her specific email subject lines about our electric bill and car payments, she realized I knew everything. After 10 minutes of me getting progressively more pissed off, and probably yelling, I'm not proud of that, she finally admits to this group chat called Sunday Planning. Sunday Planning. They have a whole fucking group chat where they coordinate who pays which of our bills. My mom has been treating us to groceries because we need help, not because she's being nice. My sister's husband has been sharing industry layoff gossip that's making everyone worry about job security. They've been managing our entire financial crisis like I'm some kind of child who can't handle reality. When I asked her why she was asking those weird questions when she already knew everything, she said they were all hoping I'd figure it out on my own and ask for help directly. Apparently, they've been waiting for me to open the door to the conversation because they didn't want to betray my husband's confidence. Apparently, my husband's commission sales job has been absolute garbage for 4 months, but he keeps telling me his pipeline looks good while secretly asking different family members for small loans to cover our bills. He set up all our mail to go to his work email and has been moving money-related stuff to this handled folder before I can see it. The most messed up part. When I confronted him about the Pinterest thing making him panic, he admitted he thought I was going to want to start buying actual baby furniture, like cribs and changing tables and expensive stuff, because apparently we're so broke that even the idea of me getting excited about having kids makes him panic. I feel like such an idiot. All those weird family dinners where everyone freezes when my mother-in-law mentions babies, they weren't worried about her being pushy. They were worried about me getting ideas about actually having a baby when we can't even pay our regular bills without family help. But here's what's really pissing me off, beyond the obvious lying and treating me like a toddler part. I specifically asked multiple people what was going on. My sister, my husband, even my mom when she was acting weird about paying for groceries. And they all chose to keep lying to my face instead of just telling me we were having money problems. Like, I get that money stress is scary and embarrassing, but treating me like I'm too fragile to handle basic information about my own life. Setting up secret family group chats to manage my finances without including me. That's not protection. That's infantilizing bullshit. My husband is supposed to be home in an hour, and I honestly don't know what to say to him. Part of me gets that he was probably trying to fix things without worrying me, but the other part of me is beyond pissed that he's been flat out lying about our financial situation for months while I'm over here making Pinterest boards for baby rooms we can't afford. I guess this explains why everyone acts like my mother-in-law's baby enthusiasm is dangerous. Hard to be excited about grandkids when the potential parents need their family to coordinate bill paying just to keep the lights on. God, I feel so stupid and angry. Mostly angry, actually. Edit 1. Since so many people are asking, no, I didn't know any of this. My husband handles all our finances and told me everything was fine. 2. Yes, I realized checking the email without asking was snooping, but after months of lies, I needed to know what was actually going on. 3. To those asking about the group chat, it has my parents, my sister, my brother-in-law, and apparently coordinates who pays what bill each month. 4. I'm not sure how bad the debt actually is yet. Still going through emails, but it looks like they're behind on basically everything. 5. For people asking why the family kept me out, honestly, I think they all still see me as the baby who needs protecting, which is infantilizing as hell. Now for the second update. Sorry for the delay. Things have been absolutely chaotic since I found those emails. So I confronted my husband yesterday morning with printed copies of the handled folder. I literally walked into the kitchen while he was making coffee and just dumped them on the counter in front of him. I wasn't even planning it. I just couldn't pretend I didn't know anymore. He took one look at the papers and immediately started crying, like full-on sobbing into his hands. I've seen my husband cry maybe 3 times in our entire relationship, so this was intense. Turns out his biggest client dropped him 4 months ago. 4 months. This was apparently some major account that was like 40% of his income, and he's been scrambling to replace it ever since. When I asked why he didn't just tell me, because honestly, job stuff happens, right? He said he knew work had been really stressful for me lately and didn't want to add money pressure on top of everything else. But then, he told me something that really bothered me. He said he thought he could fix everything before I noticed. Like he genuinely believed he could somehow replace a massive client and catch up on months of bills without me ever knowing we were struggling. The debt kept growing faster than he could handle, but he just kept thinking next month would be better. I mean, I get that he was trying to protect me in some really messed up way. It wasn't mean, just stupid and treating me like a kid and completely backwards. But then, he told me something that honestly made me understand why this whole thing spiraled so badly. Remember, I mentioned we'd had some rough times but never got into details. Well, we've had 3 miscarriages in the past 2 years. I guess I wasn't being completely honest, even with myself in that Reddit post. We had been trying, but after the losses, I've been telling people we're just talking about it, because it was easier than explaining everything. The second one happened right in the middle of this major client presentation he had to give. He said he was completely distracted during the meeting, kept thinking about me at home, dealing with everything alone. I was having a really bad day, and he basically screwed up the whole presentation. Lost the client, lost the income, but felt like it was his fault for not being focused when I needed him. So now he's got this guilt spiral going, where he can't tell me about money problems without feeling responsible for making everything worse. Like in his head, his grief about our losses caused the financial mess. So talking to me about finances means admitting he failed at taking care of me during the worst time in our lives. I swear my head was about to explode trying to follow his logic, but I sort of get how he got stuck in this mess. Still doesn't excuse months of lies and treating me like I couldn't handle the truth, but at least now I understand why he thought keeping secrets was somehow protecting me. Yesterday afternoon, my sister texts asking if we want to skip Sunday dinner since everyone knows the secret's out and it might be awkward. I'm reading this thinking, are you kidding me right now? More family management of my life. So I text back that I'm tired of everyone managing my life and we're going to have a normal family dinner like adults. She immediately calls, of course, and tries to convince me that my mother-in-law doesn't know about the money problems yet, and it might be a lot to handle all at once. I told her I'm done with family secrecy and we're going to Sunday dinner as planned, period. Which brings me to today. And oh my God, you guys, it was somehow worse than I could have imagined. We show up to my parents' house and everyone's obviously being super careful around us. My dad's doing that thing where he asks too many questions about the drive over. It's 15 minutes, Dad. Nothing exciting happened. My mom immediately offers us drinks and snacks like we haven't eaten in weeks. My sister keeps giving my husband these sympathetic looks that are clearly meant to be supportive, but just make everything more awkward. But my mother-in-law, she has no idea about any of the financial stuff because apparently nobody thought to include her in the crisis management group chat. So she bounces in all cheerful and immediately pulls out her phone to show us pictures of this crib sale she found at some furniture store. I'm sitting there watching my family exchange these panicked looks while she's scrolling through photos of nursery furniture, talking about what a steal these prices are. She starts asking about nursery themes and whether we've thought about converting our guest room. Oh, the irony. And if we've picked out baby names yet. The whole table is basically holding its breath while she's going on about how excited she is to be a grandmother and how she's not getting any younger. So we should get started soon. And something inside me just snapped. I cut her off mid-sentence and said, we're not exactly in a rush to have babies right now, given that we've had 3 miscarriages in the past 2 years and just found out we're totally broke. My mother-in-law just stared at me with her mouth slightly open, still holding her phone with the crib photos. My sister looked like she wanted to crawl under the table. My parents were doing that thing where they look at each other having an entire conversation with their eyes. My mother-in-law quietly put her phone away, mumbled something about not knowing and so sorry, and then made some excuse about needing to get home early. She left like 20 minutes later, barely saying goodbye to anyone. And then, my husband had the audacity to get mad at me for dumping everything on his mother at once. Like apparently I should have let him handle telling his family about our fertility struggles gradually, instead of just answering her direct questions honestly. I pointed out that maybe if he'd told anyone the truth about anything in the past few months, his mom wouldn't have been blindsided by reality. But no, apparently it's my fault for not continuing the family tradition of managing everyone else's feelings instead of just saying what's actually happening in our lives. The drive home was uncomfortable. My husband kept saying I embarrassed his mother and could have been more gentle about it. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, gentle about what exactly? The fact that we've been struggling to have kids? The fact that we're broke? Which part of our actual life was I supposed to keep pretending wasn't real? I feel bad that my mother-in-law got hurt. I really do. She's been nothing but sweet and excited about the idea of grandkids and finding out we've been struggling with pregnancy loss while also being too broke to afford a baby anyway. That's a lot to process. I didn't mean to just dump everything on her like that. But I'm also so tired of everyone treating basic honesty like it's some kind of weapon. Like we all have to coordinate and manage and carefully time every piece of information to protect everyone else's feelings. Meanwhile, I'm over here finding out about my own life through secret email folders and family group chats. I don't know where we go from here. My husband's still mad about how I handled dinner. My family's probably having emergency group chat sessions about damage control. And my mother-in-law is probably crying at home, thinking she was being insensitive this whole time, when really she just didn't know. Maybe I should have been more tactful. but honestly, I'm done pretending everything's fine when it's not. If that makes me the asshole, then I guess I'm the asshole. At least now everyone knows the truth. All of it. Maybe we can finally start dealing with reality instead of managing each other's feelings about it. Edit 1. Since so many are asking, the miscarriages weren't something we talked about with family because we wanted to protect everyone from worrying about us, which obviously backfired spectacularly when combined with the money secrets. Edit 2. To those pointing out my husband's guilt spiral about the client presentation, yeah, I'm starting to realize how much he's been blaming himself for everything falling apart after that meeting, which explains a lot about why he couldn't tell me about the financial problem.